we'll switch over a little bit here, but I mean, I know we had spoken before we started recording about um, paranormal work. I mean, you also dabble in that as well. Can you give us maybe kind of an example of the work that you do there as well?
Well, I would say studying UFOs is just like crystal skulls.
Sure.
You have to be open to the paranormal. And the paranormal only means that you're not using your physical five senses and the physical reality. You're understanding that there's a lot more going on around us that's in other dimensions.
Sure.
Um, so for me, the paranormal is actually the spiritual, is that we're getting in touch with this other dimension that well, what I believe is we exist in multiple dimensions. Like people say, we're multi-dimensional beings. So we have
Right.
a physical part, we have an astral part, we have an etheric part, we have a spiritual part, and we may not be consciously aware of all of those parts.
Sure.
Like if I put my hand out, all you're going to see is my hand, but I can actually feel there's another hand that I have that's not this one.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't know if is that my etheric body, and I can feel that hand.
Right.
Um, so to me, the paranormal is looking at all these other dimensions that we coexist with. Okay, and like for most people, they think paranormal is ghost,
Right.
and it's not just ghost, because the ghost is a soul who's trapped, can't go to paradise or the next place where they're supposed to go. They're still caught here. And when they get into that state of being a ghost, then they don't experience time and space like we do here. I mean, they float through things. They think about something, and all of a sudden they're there. How did I
Sure.
get there? I didn't take a car. I didn't ride a horse. I didn't fly a plane. All of a sudden I'm there. So, um, so I would say that the dimensions in the so-called paranormal, which is beyond normal,
Mhm.
is they don't the rules that we're accustomed to here, living here in the physical, doesn't follow the same. It may have things that are similar, but it's different.
Sure.
So the paranormal to me just is the study of the soul. It's like, what are ghosts? Why are we through a medium, and I've worked with mediums, able to speak to other intelligent beings who are answering me? They know things about me. How can they know these things about me? I never talked to them.
Right.
But it's because they can link into the essence of who I am, and they can see things about me because they're not operating from the same space-time like we're accustomed to.
Sure.
So I just feel like the study of the paranormal is preparing humanity for us to move into a higher vibration or a higher state of vibration, which some people call 5D, fifth dimensional. And, you know, we have beings around us that already are in fifth dimensional. Like one man I interviewed around Sasquatch, not
Right.
Bigfoot. They like Sasquatch. That's their name.
Okay.
He went into another dimension with them and visited with them. And when he went through the dimensional door, he could have no metal on his body
Hmm.
in order to do that.
Right.
And so they live here, but they're in another dimension. I've not seen Sasquatch. I think Katrina has, but I have felt their presence. Like Mount Shasta one time, I just felt there was a Sasquatch watching us, but I couldn't see it, but I knew it was there.
Right.
And there are certain people like who have more direct contact than I do, and I'll feel it, and I'll say, "You're having contact with Sasquatch," and I'm never wrong.
Hmm.
So there's something about the essence of their energy. And one friend that I've known for a long time, who I helped to sell one of his books on our website about Sasquatch, he made an interesting comment that they said to him, they've actually been here longer than humanity has been.
Right.
Okay. And they're not, they may look different than us and, may look more animal like, but they're just as intelligent and loving and kind as any of us.
Sure.
So the key of understanding the paranormal is the key to see what's coming up for the future of our world, that we're going to have contact with these beings. I don't call them extraterrestrial, I call them galactics. With the galactics, with Sasquatch, with the people that live in the underground cities that may be descendants from Atlantis and Lemuria. I've had contact with somebody who knows me, and he's very tall. When I see him in my mind's eye, from the Lemurian city Telos underneath Mount Shasta, that's
Okay.
reported to be there. Um, so the key is when you have a more paranormal experience, do you trust it?
Right.
Do you think you're crazy? Do you think other people are going to judge you and think you're crazy so you never talk to them about it? I think we're past that right now. I
Yeah.
think so many people are having different experiences and they're getting really wild too.
Sure.
Like some people are saying they're time travelers. Some people are just appearing out of nowhere. I saw some video taken where this car just came out of nowhere, like it came from another dimension,
Right.
a parallel dimension, and some door open and it just slipped through. Or what about, this is one of my favorites. Let's see where you are with this, Paul.
Okay.
The Mandela effect.
Right.
What's going on with that? Like, I did a talk, I remember, in Seattle. I don't know, I may have worn my shirt. I love Field of Dreams. I'm a real big
Okay.
baseball fan. As you can see, I'm from Chicago.
Right.
And I'm waiting for them to win again. I mean, all my life
Another 100
until they
years.
won.
Yeah.
I've said this to everyone. I lived for 2016, so I was 61, I guess.
Mm.
Or, yeah, 61. I had to live 61 years to watch my favorite baseball team finally win a championship. I was very glued in. But
Sure.
I play fantasy baseball. I'm in a league, and like a little bit after we finish, I'm going to have to mail in this manager for my team. We're in first place by a game, and I've worked really hard making trades and
Right.
trying to match my team against the other team. But
Sure.
anyway, Mandela effect with Field of Dreams.
Uh-huh.
And I've been to the baseball field. I had to go there.
Right.
So, and I pitched from the mound, but I couldn't, at 60 some years, I could not throw it 60 foot at probably 45, and I could only lob it over the plate.
Okay.
I did try to go into the cornfield and see if I would disappear, but of course that didn't happen. That would have been my favorite place to go.
Right.
But of course, it's just a story. I actually talked to the author too. I interviewed him, who wrote Shoeless Joe Jackson, which became Field of Dreams.
Okay.
And he didn't have any interest. He just said it made a great story. So I think that the producers of the film, they took that story and they built on top of it. And I really like what they did versus what I read in the book.
Sure.
So, but anyway, so I'm doing this talk in Seattle, Field of Dreams. Everybody knows the movie, loves the movie. So how many people remember Kevin Costner when he's in the field? Did he hear, if you build it, they will come?
Yep.
Or if you build it, he will come? And some
Yeah.
people said they. If you go into the movie, you'll see the version of it in our reality is he, referring to his father who
Right.
shows up at the end. Okay. But the shirt I bought from them says they,
They.
meaning the 8 Chicago White Sox players. Okay. But Kevin Costner hears he will come.
Right.
And at the end, where his friend gets to go into the field with the players and he's all complaining, then Shoeless Joe says, no, Ray, it wasn't built for me or anyone else. It was for you. And then he looks at his father, who's the catcher in the game, and they have the chance, to reconnect. So he will come is his father. So that's my understanding of it. Okay. But if you go back to it, you will see that the version we have in our reality is he, because I
Right.
did that. And there's so many other things with the Mandela effect. So what's happening with that? If you remember, did you switch places with your parallel self and come into this reality, Paul? And this is where I was born. We don't know.
Right.
What's that all about? So that's part of the paranormal too, which to me is just a sign that now I'm going to tell you some profound things that have come to me in my paranormal research.
Okay.
This will be one, but these are sayings that just make total sense to me. If somebody gets it, they're really going to get what the paranormal is about.
Sure.
So in the case of this Mandela effect, like, did what is his name? I can't. It's not Mandela, it's Mendel, right?
Oh, okay, yeah. Mendel, yeah.
Mendel effect.
Mendel effect, yeah.
Okay, I always call it the Mandela effect. It's not, it's Mendel. So for some people, and this is how it started, they remember that he died in prison, but he died in our reality, older age, becoming the head of South Africa.
Right.
So again, different things. Okay,
Yeah.
so here's one thing that maybe could explain why we have this effect going on, or different things. You got to take a drink. I'm going to take a drink
No, yeah,
before I do.
absolutely. Go ahead, go ahead. We'll all take a drink.
I have a smoothie my wife made. I never drink alcohol. Okay, so here's the first thing. So I'm having conversation with myself,
Right.
which could be God, because they say all is one. So it could be I'm talking to God, but that sounds like, I'm too much into myself. Oh yeah, Joshua got to talk to God. Well, we all can speak to God or Creator. So I'm asking this question inside. Well, Creator, you know, whatever you imagine instantaneously gets created. So what's the point of having us? Why, how do we benefit you in some way? Because everything benefits each other. It's not like, oh, we just have God's love and that's why we're here.
Right.
And the answer I heard was your experiences, of course. What? Your experiences, naturally. Well, what does that mean? So I thought about it. And basically what it means is that no matter who you are, what you do, what you think about yourself, God loves you. And through you, Creator gets to experience what it's like to be you. And even if there are all these parallel other dimensions,
Right.
the other aspects of yourself make a different choice. Like, I already know there's one of me that looked at your name and go, I'm never going to talk to that radio station. Who
Right.
are those people? That name, I don't like it.
I
Forget
get
it.
that.
I won't even answer them.
I get that all the time, actually, so that's all right.
Right. Well, because you're going to get the right guess. But in this reality, I said, let me check it out. I don't know what this is about. And then
Sure.
I talked to you and I watched you talk to the other UFO guy. I said, Paul's great. Of course, it would be an honor to be on his show.
Thank you.
So, that's essentially what I heard. It's our experiences. So it means that you get to be who you are. You shouldn't let other people tell you who you're supposed to be. I mean,
Right.
you can listen to their suggestion, and sometimes people will give you a really good suggestion. Yeah, I should do that. That would be great. But you need to agree with that. Don't do it because, probably I drove my father crazy. He would make many suggestions, and I wouldn't always agree with him.
Sure.
And I know there's some people who don't like me because I know how to say no if it's
Right.
something I don't want to do. um, but I try not to get angry about it. I just figure, well, they're saying it because they think they could help me. Well, that needs to be honored, but it's not going to help me.
Right.
So how do I get out of it? Be polite. Be
Yeah.
polite. But that comes from age and many experiments. Because there was a time when I was younger, like your age, where you know I was boring in my talks, and my Aries part came out and didn't even worry about if I destroyed someone else. No, you're not here to do that.
Right.
So this to me explains why this Mandela effect could actually be, is that we have all these parallel realities, and I think there's a possibility what may be happening in this period of time is that there's a merger going on, but I'm not sure, because there was one time when I was in Holland where we were together with other people around the skull, and there was this one guy who was everybody thought was a great teacher, and for some reason he was talking about an experiment in Atlantis, which I seem to have been part of, which would make sense because I'm scientific. I like to do scientific things. And what I saw is an experiment that went out of control. And the only way to preserve the integrity of reality is it had to allow multiple timelines to emerge from that point to preserve it.
Right.
Okay. And each of those timelines originated by the thoughts of the person who was there. So one timeline came from me, as one of the scientists, and a different one came from another person. And by having those different timelines, instead of a major explosion and destruction, it created, who knows, 50, 100 different timelines. And that preserved it. Or it would be the same thing like if I went back in time and I killed my grandfather. How
Mhm.
could I do that? I
Right.
wouldn't be born if my grandfather was dead, right?
On a different plane you were, yeah. You could
Right,
exist.
but
Yeah.
what right, but the idea is that because there's, this continuous every possibility,
Right.
so all I do is I start a new timeline then.
Right.
Okay? I can't come back to my original one, but now I'm not part of the new one where I killed him and I'm a visitor from the future of another timeline. Okay? So that preserves it. So again, the idea is creator receives through each of us through the experience of being who we are. So why can't we, if creator can love us, why can't we love ourselves? Yeah,
Yeah.
sure, we're going to make mistakes and we may not be happy with everything we do, but we get an opportunity to try again,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
if you get if you get complaints from your listeners of this show between you and I, you'll never bring me on again, and
No,
you'll know don't bring on a crystal skull guy, right?
no, definitely, absolutely not. Well, no, I definitely want to have you back because I definitely want to have more into the paranormal side of things. We can get back into UFOs and things like that because, and I have definitely have some thoughts about Sasquatch and Bigfoot and like UFOs and where they come from, stuff like that. But that'll kind of be we can do that like another show. We have a lot more time
Sure.
as well. But
Right.
yeah,
Right. Okay. So let's come back to my sayings that have come to me.
sure.
This one is also very profound, um, and I like this one too. So let's see. How do I present it? Um, God, it went across. It'll come back. Give me a moment here, or I'll have to select a different one. Oh yeah, right. Okay. See, he told me. He said it's no time and no space.
Hmm.
Okay. So what does that mean? A lot of times you'll hear people say, well, the truth is we don't really have time and we don't have space. Okay. It's the simultaneous now and we're always in the same place. Like, on in the Star Trek series, they have what is it called? The holographic
Hologram,
room.
right?
Yeah, they have this room where they create holograms, and you think that you're in, this whole other reality, but really you're staying in that one room.
Right.
That's how space works. We're really in the same room, no matter where we go, no matter what dimension we're in, which means that all intelligent beings are occupying the same space at the same time, every moment of existence. Now,
Right.
that's very mind blowing because our reality is, you know, um, like for example, I tried to come on your on your show a week early. I thought we were doing it
Last
last
week.
week. So
Yeah.
I kept going into Zoom and nothing happened. Well, that
Right.
was in the past. And I knew a week later I would be here talking to you was in the future. So we're used to, past, present, future. And that as I'm moving through time. Now, there was a book that was written by David Wilcock where he said there could be an alternative Earth where instead of space time, it's time space.
Hmm.
So, in other words, as you let's see, how did he do it? Because you got to switch your thinking. It's like when you go to Europe, you got to drive on the other side of the car
Right.
and you got to switch your brain to stay on the left instead of the right.
I can never do
Um,
that.
Yeah, probably, but you'll learn when you get older, you're going to have to. But anyway, so he was saying that there was another reality because the reason he was saying there was this other reality that was the reverse is because there was this airplane. This is a true case. I don't know when it happened, 1980s, 1990s, where it totally disappeared off the radar for like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes. But yet all the people felt like they were somewhere and then it reappeared and their watches were 20 minutes slow.
Hmm.
Okay, so he thinks they jumped to the reverse, which instead of moving and then moving in time, you move in time in order to move in space. So it was the reverse principle. So I don't know if that's true or not, but it's very interesting. And then of course Sliders, which is the TV show, which you may not remember because you were too young before it came out, but you should go watch it anyway because it was really cool. Some famous singer's daughter was involved in making it, and it was one of my favorite shows.
Hmm.
Um, so in Sliders, when they're moving between different parallel Earths, there's one episode where they actually go to an Earth where time moves in the reverse um, way. So
Okay.
in other words, they're in the future, and all of a sudden they're in the past, and then they go to the next past. So they're moving backwards in time instead of moving forward in time.
Right.
Okay, so then that leads to the next thing, which is, and this is the last one I would say, but they're all interconnected, these three. There is nothing that you can imagine unless it already exists in some place in God's infinite universe or reality. So in other words, like, if we write a story,
Right.
that story already exists, and it's just we're linking into it and we're writing it, but it's already happening. So, and the same thing, that there could be a reality where it runs backwards in time. If you can imagine it, then it must already exist somewhere. So these three things, no time, no space, that you can imagine it, and that through us, creators experiencing, that to me is the simplicity that explains all reality, which has to come from the spiritual or the paranormal. So did you understand those three things I was saying?
Yeah, yeah, and I want to jump on that as well. Could that be maybe what ghosts are? Maybe they're kind of our time, they're kind of overlapping with each other. Maybe we're kind of seeing little glimpses of maybe like another universe, and those could be maybe what ghosts are, things like that, or like shadow spirits.
Well, what I think for ghost is that, okay, so when you're alive, your vibrational frequency is in line with the physical. Okay, what a ghost is either all or part of the soul of the person, which doesn't exist in the physical reality,
Right,
but it still can be, around. But the speed of the atoms vibrating in the body of the ghost, which could be the etheric body, is much faster than it is in the physical reality. So the ghost literally is passing through everything, and we cannot, unless you're a sensitive, like my friend here, he's touching my shoulder. Okay, you don't see anyone there, but if you were a gifted visionary, you might see that there's this tall, I don't even know what the form is of my guide. Somebody says it's an ET. I don't know. I just know that we're buddies. And anytime I talk, he goes, Joshua's talking. I'm going to stand there and see if I can get some good stuff in there through him. It looked like he's talking, but I'm giving him that good stuff.
right,
Um, so so this guy I can feel, but I don't feel it on the physical. I think he's touching my etheric, which is connected to my physical. So I have a tingling sensation or whatever. But I don't feel like, somebody's touching me. I just feel a vibration, a tingling. Okay. So I think the ghost is on this level where it's kind of in between. It's supposed to go somewhere else, but it can't release itself because it didn't finish in life. And it may not be the whole essence of the person.
right.
Like one example of that is, and it's a very unfortunate, what happened to the people who died in the Second World War in Japan when we dropped the atomic bomb?
Right.
They must have got scattered all over the place, and a lot of those souls are probably fragmented. So many of them could actually be ghosts. Like if you went to the places where it was bombed, now it's probably the radiation has died down and everything, but they're still there. Or like I know that I was a general in the Civil War. I talked to another friend in Utah who said I was this general who, these two generals are ones that were known. Okay, they
Okay.
were main general. He was in the Confederate, I was in the Union, but they were friends before, like in school and everything, and they always honored each other. And after the war, they honored each other. Um, so I went to Gettysburg with Portal de Luz. Okay, and I studied all the battles, so I knew all 3 days where they were fighting, and I was drawn to certain places. Like I went up, I believe I went up to the ridge the that was the second day that they fought. There were these like high ridges that were guarding the Union position, which they showed in the movie Gettysburg. I
Right.
can't. Uh, the name of Joseph was I think the officer's first name. So they showed, his company fighting and holding that hill. So I went there with Portal de Luz and meditated, and I felt like, because I think those troops, the general I think he ordered the troops into some of these areas indirectly.
Okay.
So they may have recognized me, even though I didn't look like I looked then, they may have recognized me. I felt, like a lot of presence, and I did a meditation and music, and hopefully I helped them to move on. And maybe that happened because they recognized me, who I was.
Sure.
So um, when you ask a question about a ghost, I just think it's like an in-between state. It's probably in the etheric body, but it refuses to believe it's dead.
Right.
And it keeps, trying to touch people, but that body it's in is just going to go through the physical. We're not even going to sense it.
Right.
Okay, the only way you can sense it is if you're working with your spiritual gifts. Okay, like sometimes this has happened to me. Again, every time I think of something, I see a story. When I was in Hungary, and we were hosted for a Crystal Skull conference, and I was sitting at the family who hosted us. I remember the grandfather wanted to say something to his grandson, and so I had this, feeling come over me, and I just felt like, to say something. So whether I'm actually doing it or not, I don't know, but every one of us could be used by spirit. Like this happened to my father. I wasn't sure if he believed in this or not, but yet he would find me the most amazing books in the library. It was like something was working through him, guiding him. Oh, you need to make sure your son sees this one. One of the best UFO books I ever read, he found for me. I'm not even sure if it was the library or how he did that. So creator can work through any individual at any time.
Right.
Like sometimes I'll know things and I don't know where it comes from. I just know something. And it's just very apparent. So this is part of the awakening that we're having, why the paranormal is so important. It's like if we don't honor this aspect of ourselves, we're only honoring half of who we are. If we're just saying we're just a logical physical being, but we're not an immortal soul, we're missing out on all this wonderful aspect of who we are, our gifts, our abilities, access to knowledge, information. Um, and that's, I think, what's happening right now is a lot of young people are being born and they're already wide awake. I've met some young people, when I start talking to them, I can't follow what they're talking about. I have no idea what they're talking about. And it's because the reality that they come from is so high, I cannot see it from this perspective. I have to keep asking them a lot of questions. What are you talking about? What do
Right.
you mean by this? Um, I might be lucky if I understand them. I don't know. But the prophecy is, and this is what I believe, this prophecy is that we're going to go into a golden age, that this is definitely going to happen. And this is why, indirectly, even though it's not a good thing for a lot of people because they may have lost their jobs, they have to stay home, they're bored. Fortunately, baseball's starting today. Thank you, God.
Go
I can
Yankees.
deal with an empty stadium if they're playing, you know. Um, Only 60 games. Well, that may not be enough to really see the best team, but who cares? It's baseball. I even paid money that I just made, indirectly through the Coast to Coast show, things I sold so I could watch all the Cubs games, I have to do that.
Yeah, I know what you
So,
mean. Yeah, I try to
yeah, so
see as many
it's
Yankee
fun.
games. Yeah.
Right. So now, of course, I could try to see into the future. I don't want to. I just want to watch them play. And, you know, I hope the Dodgers and the Yankees are not the two teams that meet in the World Series, but, that's what they're predicting. So we see. But anyway,
Go
the whole
Yankees.
point, yeah, well, they have a very good team. They have a very good team. They could be there.
As long as it's not
I
the
hope.
Red Sox, we'll be all right.
I don't know. The Red Sox lost some good players. They
Yeah.
lost their best hitter, I think. But anyway, so going back to the paranormal, so there's these two aspects of who we are, and the thing is to embrace it. Like, let me ask you a question.
Hmm.
When you read a book, do you hear the words in your head or do you see them to understand them?
I see them.
Okay, so that means you're visual.
Right.
So probably your spiritual gift is vision. Like you could see ghosts. If you trained yourself and you trusted your ability, you may be able to see ghosts or other spirits. Or like sometimes what happens to me, I don't have that gift, but Katrina does. She's able to see things. I feel. Okay, to me it's the same. But sometimes there'll be these little tiny colored lights when my eyes are closed or even when they're open. I'll see flash at me. What is that? That has to be some kind of spirit that is lowering its vibration so I'm able to perceive it.
Right.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you, you need to work on, you know, visualizing things. If you do a meditation and try to visualize yourself in another place, I could do it, but I won't see any colors or details. You would see colors and details.
Right. Right.
You could, you would see it so good. You could actually, if you knew how to draw or you had somebody who drew, they would be able to draw exactly what you see. Nobody could draw what I see because it's grayscale and I can't see the details. I just know the importance of what I'm looking at. Like if I go back into, let's say, a Civil War lifetime, I see myself right now. So it means in this moment, that Civil War officer that I am is in this battlefield. I see myself at the end of the battlefield with all these people who have died in the battle, and I'm really feeling very ill. The waste of all these men, even though I love the strategy, okay? And even now, whenever I play games, like even in my baseball league, I'm always thinking strategy. Okay, this team has this strength and has this weakness. How do we take my players and take advantage of that weakness? That's got to be a general,
Sure.
a general lifetime strategizing how to win the game.
Right.
Okay, but I see myself right now, this moment, in a battlefield. It's the battle's over and I'm with my horses with me. And I love to ride horses in this lifetime. I really not had the lessons, but anytime I can ride, I do. So these other lifetimes are happening simultaneously and they're affecting my lifetime now. Okay. Where did I get this music ability from? I don't know. It has to be some past life. If I was a musician, maybe it comes from there. What about writing, speaking, confidence? It seems to me like there are other lifetimes where I had experiences to help me with this one because this one is a very important one, I believe. I believe that this going into this golden age, this transformation, it's going to change many people's lives. It's going to be a very exciting, and some people go, Joshua's crazy, but it's going to be very exciting. It's going to get more exciting. There are things coming up. If what this friend in Holland is showing me is really what's going on behind the scene, people are going to be amazed at what's going to be happening within maybe the next 6 months to a year, probably after the election. Okay, it doesn't look like Trump's going to win, but he will win. He will be our president again because he has to finish some things as the president, I believe. I
Right.
didn't like him in the beginning, but I believe now what I believe is he's playing the role of what we call the in the tarot the fool card. It's
Okay.
like people, because I understand he is a master chess player. Okay, if he's a master chess player, he knows how to give an appearance of something which is not really what his intention is, because
Right.
that's what you have to do in the game. You have to, like, pretend like I'm going to be doing this strategy, but really you see this other one behind, that when they fall for it, boom, you come in and you take them. That's how I think he is.
Sure.
So we'll have to see where this goes, but the whole point is that what's going to be happening from now on is there's going to be a spiritual or paranormal component of it, and more of the knowledge and the information that's known from this, like people who are much more involved in this than I am, like in secret black projects
Right.
where they know we have a secret space fleet and they're going to other planets and they're they're traveling through time. that they have access to this, which people like you and I are just regular people. We just think that sounds great. Maybe one day I will
Mhm.
have the chance to do that, but we don't know for sure if it's true or not, because
Right.
it's too fantastic compared to our reality. But again, what I said, if you can imagine something, it has to exist somewhere. So I believe there are too many whistleblowers telling similar stories now. And I trust, like YouTube has been my savior. I trust that, like when I watch a YouTube, like this whole idea about, which I sent you, the free ebook, and we'll talk about how your viewers can get these free books in a little
Sure.
bit. I sent you one free ebook, right, about that our world is a computer simulation.
Right.
One time my wife was visiting her family. We weren't living in Georgia. We were in Seattle, and I had no time. So I'm just watching videos. I'm going from one to the other. And I can't believe what I'm seeing. There's a scientist, for example, who's saying when he studies like the inside of reality, there's a binary code there.
Hmm.
He said it's the same as the error correction code that we have, like Google uses for their searches. There's this error binary code that I'm finding on the essence of everything. And then the other thing that happened is, of course, I, as the typical Aries I am, I got to talk to this guy. This is amazing. I never heard this.
Sure.
And so I talked to his secretary, and I don't want to give his name because I don't want to embarrass him, but he probably got a lot of flack for saying this. Okay. And so now he's quiet. But the secretary said, "Oh, you're involved with the paranormal for sure. He doesn't want to have anything to do with you. I'm sorry. He's not going to talk to you. There's no way."
Yeah.
Okay. But it was very profound what he said. And he was a scientist, a physicist saying this. But then they said something else, which was they said, if this was not a simulation, then there would not be a finite amount of things that could happen.
Right.
It would be infinite. And they said in this universe, I don't know how they determine it, but it appears as if there are only a finite things that can happen here. So we think it's a simulation. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to go into this because I think this is real important.
Sure.
And if your viewers, you want all of this good stuff, you really resonate with this, what I'm going to say, which blew me away. I'm watching this on YouTube. Okay. You must get the 3 free ebooks that I'm offering to the listeners of this, and we'll give you how you can do it. It's really easy.
Sure.
Okay. So let's see, where do I want to start with this? So the first thing that comes up is there's this person that appears in some kind of internet forum, scientific internet forum, and starts sharing the most bizarre things
Mhm.
with the people, and then says, "I'm not supposed to be here. I'm working on a computer, and I'm outside your simulation, and but we created this simulation, and we're the ones responsible for the Mandela effect. We keep changing things, and some of you who are very spiritual, you don't. When we make the change, you're not going through that change."
Right.
Okay, so that really got to me. I thought, this is because when I first started working, I was a computer programmer, so I understand that. So I thought that's amazing. So I tried an experiment on Facebook, but it didn't work. I put a message out. I said, "I know you're watching, but nobody knows who I'm talking about. I'm talking to these scientists that
Right.
created this reality." I said, "I know you're watching. Why don't you just send me a message? Okay, send me a message." So now, excuse me, here's the next part of it that really got because I actually went to this place. So as you mentioned, I've been to Peru. I've been looking for this blue skull, but I went to Peru because it's a very special place. You have special experiences there. So Katrina and I, this is the last time I went. I think it was 2009, perhaps. We took a group to Peru. Only time, I mean, I've been with groups of people, spiritual groups of people going to Peru, but
Right.
I haven't been the coordinator of it, the organizer. So Katrina and I decided, we'll organize it. We'll pick the places for people to go. We'll do some teachings while we're there.
Right.
And so I heard about this gigantic stone door. Some people call it Amaru Maru. It's called, let me look at my Blue Skull book here because I put it at the end. Should be in the table of contents. Also, it's a promo for this book, Blue
Yeah.
Skull in Peru.
Okay.
It's real. I printed through Amazon, but there's an ebook version if you don't want the printed book and all the pictures in black and white. Unfortunately, this is the wrong version of the book. I had a newer version, and I didn't bring that. I think it's called Wilka Uta,
Okay.
something like that. It's it's not Peruvian. They have a different language there, an old language, ancient language. And what those words mean is door of the gods. So what the local people say sometimes is they see these tall hooded people walking through the door. Now this is a stone solid door. They're
Right.
just walking through and kind of like looking at what's going on, and then they go back. Okay. So I have a friend named Jerry Wills who also takes people to Peru, and it was good to see him. I did a post about, are we going to digital money?
Hmm.
This is one of the possibilities that could be coming up. 3 countries are doing it now: Sweden, India, and China. And Japan and Australia already accepted Bitcoin as a legal currency. So Jerry Wills got a chance to go to this store, and he met a shaman, and the shaman said, if you sing this melody, then the door will open and you'll be able to go through.
Hmm.
Okay.
Right.
That's your dog, right?
Yeah, that's my dog.
Okay, because we have one too, and I don't hear him barking next to me.
No, yeah,
Okay.
it's nice.
Well, the dog barking must be significant because we're talking about this dimensional door, and he wants to bark.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, he's right there. Settle
so there
down.
must be something about it that the dog already knows. So now this stone door, before I tell you what happened to Jerry, it's huge. It's gigantic. It has a little tiny door at the bottom, and then a huge door on top. So I've been there before I took the group, but this is the first time I went with the crystal skull.
Right.
And I wanted to do meditation in front of the door. So of course I always wait to last. I let everybody else have their experience because I was going to sing my Crystal Skull theme song, put on my MP3 player, didn't have my guitar, and I was going to sing with it. And I
Sure.
warned people. I said, I'm going to sing. You may not like my singing, but I have to do this. This is my experience. And so I did. Now what's cool about what happened when I did it is Portal de Luz fell on the ground twice.
Hmm.
So apparently there was some shift in his energy that had to go on before he went in front of that door. Because there was like this little hole I saw in the back of his head, and then it disappeared.
Hmm.
It's not there anymore. I can't see it, but I saw it very distinctly. So anyway, I'll go back to Jerry Wills first before I tell you what happened to me. So Jerry Wills starts doing this tone, this music, whatever it is, and he walks through the door. So, it's not solid. He just goes through. And he's looking around. He's like in a big room. And a voice talks to him and says, what are you doing here? You don't belong here. How'd you get here? And so he says, the shaman told me and how to go through the door, and I got here. And then he sees this huge construct in front of him. And this kind of like scientific guy says, you know what you're looking at, right? That's your universe.
Hmm.
But here's the thing he said to him that's very interesting. He said, we wanted to create like a artificial computer simulation universe so we could study our own, but we didn't put any life in there. But the strange thing was life just started showing up in there.
Hmm.
So that's what he was told. So I did my meditation with Portal de Luz in front of this door, and I was singing, and it was a very strong energy. I can't totally remember like everything that happened. I know I was in a daze. After I came, I had to sit down and recompose myself. But what I felt was, and I still feel this, I felt like I made a telepathic connection with these scientists who created our reality. So I was kind of like sending to them this message, and saying, send me a message on Facebook. You got computers, you can come into our internet. What's the big deal? Because I remember the other guy who had done that, that was talking about it. So we have this door. We have this person on the scientific forum saying that he's part of the team that's created our reality. We have what else do we have? The scientist who says that there's a binary code underneath reality.
Right.
And we have the Mandela effect. So, I'm putting all these things together and I'm thinking, those guys, they keep changing our reality. You know why they said they were changing our reality? Because we were supposed to have an annihilation event and they didn't want it to happen.
Hmm.
So they had to change certain things to make sure that it didn't happen. Like probably in 2012.
12, yeah.
Probably around then. So they stopped it and started changing stuff. And, so again, these are just different ideas or theories, but this is what I was guided to watch. And I was just like, in heaven, I said, this is the most amazing stuff. I got to tell everybody else. Again, not saying you have to agree with me,
Right.
but think about it. So in the ebook that they're going to get will be the links to the videos I was watching.
Sure.
So you can watch yourself and see, do you agree with what they're saying or not?
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a whole lot of information there, and it's definitely interesting. I mean, there's a whole lot to process, and hopefully, I mean, like you said, I believe as well that we're living in some kind of a like a matrix, I guess you could say. It's some kind of simulation as well. But like you said, 2012, and that's probably where I was thinking more along the lines as well. When the whole Mayan calendar was supposed to end, and it was supposed to be the end of the earth. Maybe it was an end to like a certain
Yep.
consciousness that we had prior, and we kind of shifted over to another one, and then we started a whole new. But definitely a lot of people are starting to wake up now, and it's definitely overdue, especially during this whole thing of virus and all this thing that's going on. And something huge is going to happen, I think, as well, prior or maybe after the elections, but it's definitely
Right.
coming down the pipe. So
Right. So there is one piece of hope that I found, which I'll share, and then I think we're probably coming to the end here. So we should
yep,
give out the website and the free
absolutely.
ebooks, and email me if they want to get their own crystal skull. Project Looking Glass.
Right.
Also, I talk about in this book from my future self. I listened to Carrie Cassidy interview somebody named Mr. Wood or Woods, and that interview is listed in the ebook. And he said a couple of very powerful things. He said, number one, they're not using this device to look at possible futures anymore because it's only showing one future, and it's not the future they want.
Right.
They probably meaning those that have the power and control, they think. It's not going to go the way they want. So in other words, no matter what they do, he compared it to a chess game. He said, when you have two masters playing, there comes a point in time where they both know one is going to win and one's going to lose. And the one who's going to lose can't do nothing to stop it. So he was saying that's the same thing going on with this special device they have, where they used to be able to go and see potential futures of things they wanted to do and what would work and what wouldn't work. And I think he said 2012 is when it really started to have problems.
Mm.
Okay, because something probably shifted during that time frame. And I felt that too. I felt there was a shift on a higher dimension, which eventually would come down to our dimension.
Right.
Okay, so I think we're seeing it now. Okay, I think what's going on now was what was initiated then. So, so Project Looking Glass is showing only one future, and I'm guessing it's the positive future.
Right.
Okay, and no matter what they do now, like this pandemic, I don't want to insult anyone. I don't want to get anyone angry. A lot of people believe what they hear in the media, but I'm hearing from people who are on the inside, but I don't really know them. It's like the insiders are telling certain people who are then telling me. So
Right.
I don't know any insiders, but I'm guessing this is where it's coming from. That the number of people who are dying and getting sick, this is way out of proportion. I mean, there's been other illnesses we've had in the past where far more people died and got sick, and they didn't call a pandemic for it. Why are they doing it now? So it's
Woodstock.
very obvious they have some other plan. And if you just look at what's going on, what's happening, we're losing all our freedoms.
Yeah.
We have to wear this mask, and this is getting more prevalent. Like even here in Georgia, we didn't have to wear it. Governor said, I suggest it, but you don't have to. Um, Now my wife went into one of the grocery stores, and they're almost like demanding you have to wear it. And when I went into um, what telephone do we have? One of the mobile phone companies, T-Mobile,
Right.
they said I had to wear the mask to stand there.
Yeah.
But the mask really is not protecting you, and it's actually making you worse, according to medical doctors. So, but I don't say this to, to anger anyone. Um, do the social distancing, do what you think you have to. But I really feel that this is another 9/11.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
not telling us what's really going on. And this is not my place to say the new information that I'm learning about. But what I would say about this is, as I believe, because my future self in this lifetime is showing me a positive future, because Project Looking Glass is also showing the positive future, that no matter what happens or what we go through, or even if it's difficult for a period of time, we are going to come out ahead of this. And so just, don't come from fear, don't panic, take it day by day, be positive, be like me, enjoy the baseball games that are going to be played tonight, you know,
Yeah.
and I believe that things are in hand. I was very upset with, let's say, Spirit. I said, I want to see some proof. What is going to happen that could change this? And within the last week or two, a woman in Holland, a friend of mine, she showed me a lot of stuff, and now I'm believing that there is a lot going on right now we do not know about, that we can't know about yet, that is helping to change things, so there will be a positive outcome.
Sure.
Okay, so let's go to the things that I'm offering to your viewers.
Sure.
Okay, so I'll show them so you have a visual. So this is one of the books. You'll see it listed in one of the free ebooks. This is the one that talks about the blue skull in Peru, which we didn't have a chance to really talk about.
Right.
So you can always email me, which I'll give you the email in a second, if you want to know what it's about, or I'll send you the web page. I have a whole web page that talks about. It's a novel. It's the first novel that I've published with a friend from
Okay.
England, and the blue skull comes up in here too, right? No, oh no, this is the blue skull book. The other book I'm going to show you, he shows up in that one too.
Okay.
So, and I'm wrong. This is not a novel. This is the blue skull book. See, I'm out of it.
No, no worries. These
Okay, so
baseball.
this is about a blue skull that I've had visions of, that I went to Peru 3 times to find.
Okay.
So if it sounds interesting, just send me an email. This is the novel. I'm getting it straight.
Okay.
So even though there's pictures of Katrina in the cover, it really represents the main characters of the story.
Okay.
And it's kind of, in a way, it's a little bit autobiographical. But, I'm putting things in there. I'm taking liberties. And this is the one I did with my friend in England,
Okay.
on the story. But everything's in there. Bigfoot's in there. Hollow Earth's in there. The city under Mount Shasta, UFOs, crystal skulls, everything. So it's a really great story. And I'm going to say this from now on every time I show this book. God, I'm not leaving this place till you help me find a way to make this into an action adventure movie that people. Okay, this would
Yeah,
be a great story.
it would be
Okay?
actually. I don't even. Yeah,
Yeah,
without
this
even
is my
reading it.
right. So as a Jewish person, God, my wish before I leave the planet, please let me make this movie for you. It'll be great. People will love it. Okay,
Yeah.
please, God. That's all I'm asking. All right.
Yeah.
So that's my spiel on that novel. So those are 2 books. There's 2 other books we have. I'll let you read it in the free ebooks. They're only ebooks. You can
Okay.
get them all in ebooks if you don't want to wait, because I have to wait for Amazon. They're print on demand, so
Okay.
Amazon prints them when I get the orders. So
Sure.
it
Sure.
could take a couple of weeks. Okay, the free ebooks. So you get a Crystal Skull free ebook. I already talked about the other 2. You get the one about we're in a computer simulation, and you get the other one, Message from Argus, my future self from this lifetime and the future, what it looks like, and some other things around it that came to me to write. Those are yours for free. To get them, all you have to do is, let's say, write Truth Radio Show, 3 free ebooks in the subject, then I'll know where you came from.
Right.
And then I'll immediately answer you. I'll probably send you the email that I sent to the Coast to Coast people, just because it explains the ebooks. It will give you a link how you can get your own crystal skull at a 10% discount if that's
Sure.
what you want. I have a special arrangement. This will only last for 1 week from today, though.
Okay.
So if you want to do that, just go to the website, look, see if something speaks to you, and then you'll have a coupon code for me you can put in, and you'll get 10% off. And my friends are very competent. They have a lot of skulls, and they've helped Katrina and I a lot of times when we were struggling. They just helped us out. So I love them dearly, and I highly recommend them. So
Okay.
the ebook email, very simple to write to, is crystalskullexplorers@gmail.com. Although Paul will probably have this email somewhere.
Yeah, I'll link it all down there.
So he'll have it there, but it's Crystal Skull Explorers, plural, @gmail.com, or just look for Joshua Shapiro. You see my name there by where I'm speaking, and Crystal Skulls, and you'll find our website, which has our email. And then if you want to look at our website, I had to change it a little bit to get it to work. So it's CSE, like Crystal Skull Explorer, but the letter CSE .crystalskullexplorers.com. So CSE.crystalskullexplorers.com. And we have a lot more stuff there, articles, pictures of more of our crystal skulls. You can sign up for our free newsletter, which some people have done also, and there's other things. I just keep finding new things to share. So if you like to read and you want to learn, then I'm a good person for that.
Excellent.
So crystalskullexplorers@gmail.com is the email, and csc.crystalskullexplorers.com is the website.
Right.
So we would be very happy to hear from you. If you have any questions, feel free. I also want to thank Paul. He's been a great guest. I wish I wouldn't have talked so much, so he could have asked me more questions, but you see how all of these things interrelate. That's what I love about it. I'm dealing with crystal skulls, but it's taking me into UFOs, ancient civilizations, the paranormal, crop circles. There isn't any subject that they're not connected to. So it's the perfect one for me, and there's always new skulls coming up. I hear from people who tell me about new skull I never heard from before. So it's what makes it interesting. And for some reason, God likes me right now, because I think you're about the 7th or 8th radio show that I've done in the past 4 weeks, and I still have like 3 or 4 more to do. So I say, God, I'm really bored, and I'm sitting with all this great information. Can you help me?
Right.
And then my friend Mark calls me up and says, I got this guy, Richard. Would you like to do a show? I had no idea Richard was also the host for Coast to Coast. So I must have impressed him when I did his show. So I said, okay, we're doing Coast to Coast next week. Are you ready? I said, yes, of course. I haven't been on there since 2005. Yeah. So, and two, if you go to Coast, there are 2 interviews, 2005 and the one which Paul just heard, which was about 2 weeks ago. So where they came. Yeah, the other one, I think I had 3 hours. So
okay.
It's not good to give an Aries a lot of time. We can just keep going.
Keep going. It's great. It's a lot of information. It's definitely information that needs to be heard. I mean, we'll definitely have to have you back down the line, just so we can go into the whole like UFOs and the whole Bigfoot as well, because Bigfoot is definitely, or Sasquatch, but that's definitely one of the areas that I'm very interested in as well. I have a lot of people that say that Bigfoot comes, that they've seen Bigfoot coming out of spaceships, and then they go up, they go back up in spaceships and leave, stuff like that. And then people say that they're from here, and they're not, actually from space, but they've been here the whole time. And so, I mean, you get 2 different stories. I'm sure there's other stories out there as well, but
actually both are true, Paul. They did come from somewhere else and were brought here, but now this is their home. So and just like we are concerned about what's going to happen in the future, they are too. This is their home. They're rooting for us, and they're sending us good energies that, we will figure this out and we will create a peaceful planet. So then, they can come out and we can do what my friend did and go visit with them and go with the galactics and everything. So I believe that we are en route for this. I cannot see any other conceivable possibility. No matter how crazy it gets and no matter what things continue to happen, like if they come up with another wave, they're talking about another wave of this pandemic. You got to trust what your inside tells you.
Sure.
Don't give your power away. Really challenge things, test things. Not everybody's going to be happy with you if you do that, but you have to honor yourself and do what's true for you.
Sure.
So, so we will come out this just fine. I'm hoping by next year everything will be wrapped up, and then Trump will say, well, we've had this contact with the galactics, and now we can have access to all their great technologies, and world peace is happening, and there's no more hunger or starving or poverty. That's what I see is the future, and it might seem incredible, but I've been shown a way how it actually could be done without the galactics. It's pretty amazing, but I'm not the one to talk about it.
Sure.
I'll just whisper. If you want to know, follow QAnon.
There you go.
And they seem to know what's going on, and Trump likes them, and this new president in general, seems to like them. So that might be a place to look.
Sure.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying look and see what you think.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, Mr. Shapiro, I really appreciate your time, though. It was definitely a lot of great information, and we'll definitely have to have you back on, whenever you get free again, so we can go into those other topics. But I'll definitely be linking the website and the ebooks. We appreciate that as well. So everybody can go ahead and email. I'll put the email address down below as well. And then for everybody else, like I mentioned before, if you guys are watching us on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button, that bell icon, as well as the thumbs up icon as well. Like I said as well, if you're on the go, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts, Truth Defender Podcasts on there. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, that's at Defender Podcast, Instagram at Truth Defender Podcast. And if you have any questions for myself or our guests, any topic recommendations or anything like that, that's the Truth Defender 1776 at gmail.com. Once again, everybody, I really appreciate you guys listening to this show. We couldn't do it without you guys, and you guys are the reason why we do it. So we'll be back again Monday. I think we'll be having Bishop Larry Gators on again. It'll be his second go around with us, but you guys please stay tuned for that show as well. And we really appreciate you guys. You guys stay safe and stay healthy out there. Stay blessed and stay frosty. Have a good one.
And I'm a defender too now.
There you go. Absolutely. He's a defender as well. Absolutely, sir. We really appreciate it. So you guys stay healthy out there, and I hope you enjoy the game later on.
Well, I will. It's not the Cub game; they'll be tomorrow. But any baseball game, for real,
yeah, absolutely.
It's great.
We're getting back into the
Yankees. Your team is playing today. Yankees against the current champion Washington.
The Phillies. Yes. It's the Phillies. No, it's Monday. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they play the Nationals today, so it should be a good game. Two good pitchers. So.
Yeah. All right. Sounds great. Absolutely, sir. Like I said, we'll link everything down below so they can go ahead and check out the website. And you guys want those ebooks as well, just go ahead and follow that email address and go ahead and get those. Mr. Shapiro, I really appreciate your time, sir. You stay safe out there and stay healthy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you.